Hello, my dears. There's currently a girl who's going viral called Lily Phillips. She's going viral right now for sleeping with 100 men in 24 hours. Yes, you heard that correctly. She slept with, well, technically it was 101 men in 24 hours. How is that possible, you're probably wondering? I don't know, I guess maybe just good time management? Lily is an OF girl, and she did this so that she could post it or post the content on her OnlyFans, and you had to be a subscriber to be able to apply to sleep with her. Now, I watched the video that documented the lead up to this event, as well as the aftermath, and it seems as though the clip from the documentary is what's currently going viral. It shows Lily breaking down into tears after finishing the extreme challenge.
It's not for the weak, girls, if I'm honest. It was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Why not?
I think if you're a different type of girl, it's very like, it's kind of like being a prostitute in a sense of like, it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it, like.
It's not like just having sex with someone.
Yeah. Just one in, one out, like it feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
Sorry. It's okay. Just take
1 minute.
To be honest, I don't really know what she expected from the experience, but the fact that she couldn't help but break down shows that she clearly didn't enjoy it, despite saying throughout the documentary that this was her fantasy.
I think other people in the industry definitely look down on me for doing this, but I think at the end of the day, people forget that it's also my fantasy, and this is also something that I'm really enjoying and want to do and have wanted to do before I was even in the industry.
One thing that was clear to me while watching is how naive Lily comes across. Like when Josh asks her if she's considered if some of these men have criminal records, and she seems to not have even thought about it. Or when he asks her about STIs, and she seems surprised that you can get HIV through oral sex.
I had a sinking feeling that perhaps Lily hadn't fully thought through the challenge she was undertaking.
What if they had HIV?
Is that where it comes from? With spunk in the mouth?
It can.
Oh, really? See, I've never really thought about that. Last time when I did it, all of them could in their mouths.
Another thing that stood out to me about Phillips is that she comes across as a people pleaser, who's clearly not the most comfortable with setting boundaries. Signs of Lily being a people pleaser are clear when she's crying and saying that she felt bad at times because she felt as though she wasn't able to give all 101 men the best experience, especially since some of them had travelled really far for this. She also talks about how she felt pressured to give some of the guys more time.
You know, when I talked to you last, like I was not nervous. It was like the day before. I was like, oh, I'm so nervous. But it was good. It was more, I guess the interactions when like I'd have to stop them early and like you'd have to stand on business and be like, I'm so sorry, you got to go. And like the awkward interaction of like you feeling pressure to have to make them if like you haven't spent enough time with them and feeling like they didn't, like you didn't give them a good time. And it's hard, I think, having the interactions with them when they're like, what, you're not going to make me finish, I've come all this way, like kind of like guilt tripping me a little bit. I felt bad, like some people just travel so far, like I didn't want to give them a shit time and like come away from this and be like, oh, that was shit. I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic, like by the, I think like the 30th, you know, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like how we're going to do this, and like it just, sometimes you'd like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal sex at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember, and that's it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know. But yeah.
I also don't believe that this was the only reason why she was crying though. I think she also didn't realise how dehumanising this whole thing would feel. It's possible that maybe she thought, because she slept with people she doesn't really know before, that she thought that this would basically be kind of like those kind of experiences. But in reality, sleeping with one stranger is not going to be the same as sleeping with 100 strangers. Because at least with one stranger, you can kind of get to know each other before you do the deed. But if you know you've got a challenge of sleeping with 100 guys in a very short time period, you literally don't have the time to even try to make small talk or get to know them a little bit. And I think that part of the experience is what affected Lily the most. And she does touch on that in the documentary.
It's kind of like being a prostitute in a sense of like, it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Like,
It's not like just having sex with someone.
yeah. Just one in, one out. Like, it feels intense.
So like I mentioned before, Lily comes across as very agreeable. And I personally do think that being an agreeable woman and entering an industry like this is probably the worst combination. If you're not disagreeable enough to feel comfortable setting clear boundaries, you are likely going to come out troubled because you'll agree to things you don't want to do. What makes it worse is the team that Lily has around her. Her manager or PA, whatever this woman is to her, is quite a questionable character. There's a part where she says that some of the men who had already had their turn had called her back and said that they wanted to try again because they felt as though they had underperformed or whatever. And this was her response to them.
So I was outside having a smoke with them all. We were just all talking and getting along, and then we come back in here and they've got the music on vibe, and it was really nice. There were a couple of guys that Joe messaged me like, oh, I didn't really perform well, can I come back? And we've been like, yeah, that's fine. And they've just like come back.
Oh, really?
Redeemed themselves because they've been like that nervous.
How do you think Lily found it?
I think, do you know, I've not had the chance to speak to her too much. She's been in there all day, and we've just like chucked her in the shower and like, she's exhausted. She's like, the first thing she said was like, I need a Nando's. I was like,
You've earned a Nando's.
Yeah, you've got the Nando's is ordered.
It's like she's a theme park ride. Oh, you want another go? Sure, come back and get in the queue. This is why I think Lily is very likely too agreeable, because if she wasn't, then I don't personally think her manager would feel so comfortable agreeing to let these men come back for another turn. Other weird things in the documentary is when she's discussing her earnings with Josh and she tells him that her dad's friends are subscribers of her content.
Have you like recognized any of the names in here of people that you might know?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's been some guys like outwardly say like we used to go to school together.
Wow.
Or some of like dad's friends and stuff like that.
What messaging you?
Yeah. I just tried to keep it very professional.
There is a part in the documentary that I did find quite amusing though, and that's when Josh is having a conversation with these older ladies outside of the shop, and he tells them what Lily intends to do, I assume intending to surprise them or shock them, but their response was actually quite surprising.
It's not actually, but I'm filming a video with a girl who's going to be sleeping with 100 guys in one day, and she is picking out her outfit for that day.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
Does she find them on the internet?
Yes, so you can apply if you're a subscriber of her OnlyFans, so up to 100 people, and then the whole 100 of them get to have sex with her one at a time on the 19th of October in London.
Oh, and it's on television?
It's going to be on her OnlyFans.
Oh, I see, okay. She's got to have an early night tonight.
Yes, she does. A lot of electrolytes, a lot of sustenance, a lot of fiber.
Okay, lovely.
Okay. Have a great night. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye there. She seemed kind of okay with that, which I wasn't expecting.
As I was watching, I was wondering why on earth would anyone want to do this? I guess the obvious motivation is money. I'm sure that this has made her a ton of money because of the amount of attention it's gotten. I'm sure she gained a lot of new subscribers on her OnlyFans because of this stunt. But I also think another thing as well is probably because of the kind of team that she has around her. She clearly is surrounded by people who egg her on for their own financial gain. Throughout the documentary, Josh, who is the person who made this documentary, seemed to be the only one asking her proper questions about the risks to her health and safety, and the fact that she seemed like she hadn't thought about any of those questions that Josh was posing to her makes it clear that her team didn't think about it either. You'd think the people who work with her all the time and know her better would be the ones to show interest in safeguarding and aftercare. Now you're probably wondering, what about her parents? What do they think about this? She admits in the documentary to not telling them. I think they do know that this is what she does for work, and I think her mum might be on her finance team if I'm not mistaken, but she does admit that she didn't want to tell them because she didn't want them to view her differently.
You've obviously spoken to your parents about this, right?
I actually haven't. My parents know what I do, but I'm not on the phone to them every day going, oh, you know, I just got DP'd, I'm 17 guys today, or this and that. They don't need to know the logistics.
Of course.
I do feel a little bit like embarrassed being like, Mom and Dad, I'm 100 guys.
Why?
I guess because it's not really what my parents would have wanted me to do. Doesn't mean to say my parents are like gonna disown me or hate me or anything like that. I just don't want them to think less of me, you know?
And as I said, I imagine Lily must have made a crazy amount of money from pulling this stunt, because despite being visibly troubled by sleeping with 100 men in 24 hours, she has announced that she will be taking it to the next level and trying to sleep with 1,000 men in 24 hours. Yes, 1,000 men in 24 hours.
I'm trying to get 1,000 guys in 24 hours. My plan kind of is it needs to be a room with 2 doors is what we're trying to work out. Like, the logistics of this is insane, because one thing, it's hard enough getting 1,000 guys together. It's another thing actually like making sure they all do it in the time limit. So honestly, I'm just hoping for like a conveyor belt of like, they need to kind of like walk in the room, one pump in, one pump out, and then leave.
What's the current world record though?
It's 919. But I want to get to 1,000 because like 900 is weak. You may as well have got to 1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 24 hours though.
This is why I'm training. I've done the 100. I'm doing 300 in like a few weeks.
It's like a boxing match.
It really is. It really is. But I think as long as they're in, out, it's going to be pretty quick. I think I'll get sore towards the end, but I think I've got the right determination just to be able to push on.
Now, Phillips seems to have sparked a debate online about whether or not she deserves to have any sympathy. Some view her as a victim of our over-sexualized culture and the normalization of viewing as well as making explicit adult content, while others have zero sympathy for her at all because they feel like she should take full responsibility because she consented to doing this. Do I think Phillips is a victim? I think she's a victim of her own greed because she really didn't need to pull this stunt. She was already making a lot of money before this, and we can see this in the documentary as well, where she shows Josh her earnings, and he as well is completely baffled as to why she would even do this, considering how successful she already was on the OnlyFans platform. And maybe she is a victim of the sex-positive narrative that nonchalantly says that sex work is just like any other kind of work. Although I would say that there is quite a difference between doing this and working in a coffee shop. She definitely is experiencing a lot more trade-offs for that bigger check. After recording this video, I came across an interview that Lily had with the Daily Mail, or Daily News. It was Daily News, which I thought was quite interesting, so I'd like to show it to you.
Are you still planning to do what I've called the 1,000 man challenge?
The man challenge. Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah. So my assistant's currently going through the 5,000 applications we have. It will take place in England.
Yeah.
They'll be getting, honestly, as quick as possible in, out. I just want a conveyor belt.
Right.
So as in like we're hoping to get it done a lot before the 24 hours. We're maybe thinking most it'll be 17 hours.
So I saw the video of after you did the 100.
Yeah.
And you actually seemed quite distressed.
I was extremely overwhelmed. It was very, very intense. Obviously, just after finishing a 14-hour stunt of just constantly getting at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as soon as we finished that, camera crew came in and started probing me with questions. It was very stressful. It was more just, it was super overwhelming, a super long, hard, stressful day. And then the camera crew probing me with questions for an hour. That was kind of, if I'm honest, I wish I'd kind of set a boundary, because that was kind of the last thing I wanted, was just someone hammering me with questions after completing a really long, hard day. It's personally not how I would have told the narrative or how I would have edited it, but it definitely made for a very interesting watch.
I found it really interesting that she would try to put it down to editing, and to watch her now say that, it's just how the documentary was put together and how it's not how she would like to have portrayed herself. I do wonder if that's because it's not good for business to look as though you don't love what you do. Most men, I think they like to believe that the girls who do this stuff, they all absolutely love what they do. I think it's part of the fantasy. Now, I'm not saying that she doesn't enjoy her job at all, but what I am saying is that based on the documentary, it's quite clear that she didn't enjoy this particular challenge, because I don't know anyone who needs to disassociate in order to do something that they really love or enjoy. For her to come across as though there's aspects of her job that she doesn't like, or for her to come across as though she doesn't enjoy this, I think it's probably bad for business for her, and that's probably why she's not happy about the way it came across in the documentary. That's my personal thoughts. I don't think it's because the way she was portrayed was inauthentic. I think it's more likely because it's not the best for business. But I am curious to know what you think. Do you think that Lily Phillips is a victim? Do you have sympathy for her? Or do you have zero sympathy for her whatsoever and think that she deserves to have the outcome that she has because she consented to this. I'd be very interested to know what you think, so do let me know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, you may as well like and subscribe. Thank you so much for giving me your time today, and I will see you in my next video.